Everybody feel awesome? Thank you, Heather. So, one of the reasons we wanted to start this way is give you a sense of what it feels like to start your day right. How many of you woke up today and before, not finished the sentence yet, but before you stepped out of bed, you reached for your phone? Okay, so a little more than half of you, right? So before you plugged into your biology, you plugged into technology. Yes? And so over the past 25 years, I'm a neuroradiologist. I look at people's brains, spines, and ear, nose, and throat structures. What I've noticed is that people are aging faster biologically than their chronological age. So chronological age is your age in birthday candles, right? You say I'm 35, that's your chronological age. Biological age is what I see on my screen. And what I've been seeing is that we have 40, 50-year-olds whose bodies look like they're 60, 70-year-olds. But what's more interesting is when I see a 70 or 80-year-old who has a body that's a 40-year-old body, right? And like her, all right? Wow, awesome. And see, we have a poster child right here, you know. So I started asking that, one, what are those 40, 50-year-olds doing to age faster? But more importantly, what is the 70-year-old and the 80-year-old doing to age backwards? Okay? And through many different sources, listening to many different practitioners like Heather and others, I stumbled across many different switches that people can turn on and off to reverse their biological age. Okay, and ultimately, it came down to 7 master switches, which I believe that if you can plug into, can seriously impact your age, or your biological age, and your vitality in the long run. Okay, and so today, I wanted to give you a glimpse of some of those connections. We're not going to get through all 7 switches, but one switch you experienced with Heather, and which is connection with the body, okay? But I'm going to give you a glimpse of what some of those switches look like. Beyond that, what I did was in July, I put out a book. It's called Primal Health Design, which are those 7 switches or 7 key paradigms to reverse your biological age. And what is interesting is I was involved with executive health. So these are people who have very busy schedules, but wanted to be healthy and wanted to look like her, you know. So they said, you know, give us a routine that we can implement in our busy life, right? Because once you start your day, how many feel like once you start your day, everything in the middle can go all over the place? It gets crazy. You're with me, right? So really, what we have control of, and what I tell people is that you have to build a life bridge, right? When you look at a bridge, you look at a bridge like Verrazano Narrows in New York or Golden Gate, right? You have the 2 strong pillars, right? One pillar in the beginning, one pillar at the end, and then in the middle, there's no support. But those 2 pillars, when they're strong enough, you can support the whole bridge. And what I mean by a life bridge is that if you have a very strong beginning of the day and a very strong ending routine, all hell can break loose in between, and you'll do good, okay? So I spent my time helping people develop this routine. And I said, I understand everybody has limited time. They're busy moms, you may be a busy executive, whatever you're doing, right? In the middle of the day, could be all over the place. But if you can dial in how you start your day and end your day, you can handle almost whatever life throws at you, right? So what we'll give you today is start you off on a journey which Heather started, and I'll build upon what she did and give you a little bit of a nuance as to what she started in terms of connecting with the body, okay? But our first connection, and the book is called Primal Health Design. Primal because we never ask ourselves, before we had cell phones, before we had all these conveniences, how were we primally designed to behave? We never ask, like, what is my primal posture when I wake up? How does my body primally want to behave? You know, we never asked ourselves. We kind of just do what it's needed, but nobody ever taught us. Nobody in school said, this is how you were designed, right? And what is interesting is when I look at images of young patients that come in for neck pain on my screen, and I see all this advanced degeneration and whatnot, I always ask that, you know, it's so sad that this person never got taught what it means to be primal or how to behave in a primal way. Am I making sense? So I'll give you a glimpse of that, at least start you off on that journey, and then you can deepen that, and I'll give you some resources to follow that up with, okay? So first connection is what I say is connecting with the earth, okay? And part of it, Heather did a fantastic job, right? But in the end, where you did that grounding posture, right? And she talked about awakening the root center. So a lot of this knowledge is very deeply rooted in the Eastern culture of yoga and waking up the different chakras in your body, okay? But I'm going to come from a more of a scientific angle. But what we're finding now, that what we were talking about in yoga and Eastern cultures is now all being proved by science. So it's such a blend coming into play. But I'm going to come from a scientific lens. When you wake up, what does it mean to connect with the earth, okay? And when I asked you how many checked your phones first thing in the morning, okay? When you wake up, okay, your body, how does it know that the day has begun? Okay, it's very important that you signal to your body that this is the beginning of the day, okay? So what is our primal trigger? What triggers our body that this is the beginning of the day? And what we found, if you look at all the research, and I can save you thousands of hours of reading in one sentence, within the first 20 minutes of the day, and I'll maybe take a poll here, how many, when you woke up and within the first 20 minutes, looked at the sun, or at least stepped out into the sun? Okay, so about half the room. That's pretty impressive, okay? And that's because we got a healthy crowd here, okay? And I do this many times, and I would say 80% of the people do not raise their hand. Why this is important is in the back of our eyes, in the retina, there are sensors, without getting into details of the anatomy and all that, there are sensors that as soon as daylight hits, okay, it doesn't need to be direct sunlight, but daylight, as soon as it hits those sensors, your body says, it's time to begin the day, okay? When that happens, there is a whole host of things that start in your body. One, your whole hormone cycle begins, okay? For men, testosterone levels get optimized just from that initial sun exposure or daylight exposure within the first 20 minutes, okay? For females, how many, you know, females have testosterone also, yes? You guys know that, right? which is also important for you guys. So, we talk about men, talk about low T and all that, right? There's also such thing as low T related to women, okay? That is also sparked by that sunlight, okay? So before you reach for the coffee, okay, or your cell phone, your number one trigger is exposing yourself to daylight in the first 20 minutes, okay? When you start doing that routinely, you will see your hormone levels get optimized. The second thing that happens is your digestion gets started. Your body now knows that it's the beginning of the day and that it expects food, and it will start optimizing your digestive system, okay? So that now when you eat, there are enzymes now to come into play and digest your food, okay? And so if you just start your day, if you roll into your day without that, you don't have this benefit of your body being triggered. And the third part is not just the digestion from the enzymes, but your insulin response is all governed by the sunlight, okay? Why is that important, insulin response? We have so many people becoming diabetic, pre-diabetic, and everything like that. I'm sure you have people in your family, right, that are dealing with that kind of stuff. And we ask ourselves, how come this is happening more often? How come people are aging so much faster? It's just that basic things we forgot to do, the basic primal connections we forgot to do, right? So, one, get sunlight within the first 20 minutes of awakening, okay? And connect with that primal trigger, okay? Number two is, if possible, apart from grounding postures as Heather did, okay? If you have access to open land or grass or one thing like that, okay? If you can step barefoot out onto grass, okay? I keep an area in my backyard. I don't fertilize it. I don't put anything on it. It's just, I just let the weeds grow. If they grow, I just, keep it, but I just let the space be wild, okay? And but it's my space where I step into it in the morning, okay? And so a lot of these practices that Heather ran through, a lot of it I do actually in that space with my feet on bare ground. What's interesting is that you've heard the term grounding, earthing, everybody, okay? What is very, very important, what we found is that they took patients who were dealing with wounds, like burn wounds, and they took half the patients, kept them in the hospital in a very sterile environment, right? Normally when you think if somebody has a wound, we don't want it to be infected, right? So you keep them very sterile. So they took half the patients, kept them very sterile. They took half the patients and had them walk on grass at one point of the day. Not too much, maybe a few minutes, just had them walk on grass, okay? And what was remarkable, and this was shown with many other studies afterwards, the patients who walked on grass at least one time a day, their wounds started healing faster, okay? Now you would think it's counterintuitive, right? They're being exposed to all these germs and dirt and things like that. Because the earth is what we call an electron sink, okay? And if all of us carry some level of what we call as static in a way, okay? We carry inflammation or I guess like a appropriate term would be like biological static, right? And as soon as you step on ground, on barefoot, it just relieves that right away, okay? Because the ground is an ion sink. Okay, it reduces that inflammation. What you will see when you engage with that, okay, if you have an opportunity to do that, some of you I know are thinking, I am not stepping outside my house because that space is not conducive for barefoot walking, right? I get that. Okay, I hear that. I have friends in Boston who will say, Kavin, I am not stepping on the ground. You can. Other things you can consider is like a grounding mat or grounding shoes, if it comes to that, but nothing beats stepping on ground, okay? If you can do that, one, you'll see inflammation in your body go down, but your sleep quality that night when you start doing this, will start improving, okay? So, connecting with the earth. The other part of connecting with the earth, okay, is that once your eyes see that sun, what happens is daytime, that 20 minutes, getting sun in that first 20 minutes, actually improves melatonin production in the PM. Okay, everybody's familiar with melatonin being important for sleep and everything like that, and it's very counterintuitive. The morning sun optimizes your melatonin production in the evening. What takes away the melatonin production is making sure you don't get sun later in the day. Okay, so every time you pick up a screen after sunset, okay, every time before you go to sleep you're working on a screen, you're giving yourself blue light that makes your body think it's daytime in the evening. So your melatonin production goes down, okay? And when I work with executives and whatnot, and we work on, some of the people say, my job is such, I have to be in front of a screen, I have to check my email, I have to do this. We work on minimizing that with blue light blocking glasses. There is an app called F.lux that you can download. If you put that on your phone, if you put that on your computer, what it will do, it will figure out the sunset time for your time zone, automatically dim your screen for you. So even if you turn on the computer, it will not allow that much blue light, okay? So that is one thing, okay? And so connecting with the earth. The second part is connecting with the body, which Heather did such a beautiful job. How many felt a little more expansive before you came in and after you did all the work? Yeah, you feel expansive? Okay. So one of the things that I see, okay, is, and I'll do this more through a demo, okay, rather than me actually talking about it. Brooke, come up here. Let me. I'm going to use her as a demo, okay. So just show me how you check your phone, like your normal posture, or like how would you check your phone? Just show me, okay? That this is how Brooke checks her phone, okay? All right, just check, okay. So what do you see as Brooke checks her phone? What do you see with her posture as she's checking her phone? Any comments? Okay, her neck is forward, yes, okay. What else? What about her thoracic spine? Is her sternum pointing down or up? Slightly down, right? Okay. And her hips she's like staggered, so it's hard to say what her pelvic angle is, okay? But here's the thing, okay? We could stop. All right. So now stand there. So stand on the side. Okay. So now, one of the things is that one of the main things that your body is always trying to optimize energy, right? When you wake up in the morning, what's the biggest commodity? If I said, when I wake up, I want to feel blank. Give me a word. When I wake up, I want to feel?
Like awake.
Awake. What do you want to feel? Energized. Refreshed. What? Give me a word.
Oh, clear-headed.
Clear-headed. Okay. So everything is about expansile, clear-headed energy, yes? Okay, right? You want to feel like you can tackle the day, right? So it's all about energetics, right? You want to see, I wake up and I feel like I can go, okay? But here's the thing, okay? And is that I'm going to teach you 3 sentences if you can carry with you. If nothing else, carry this with you, okay? Your physiology equals your psychology. Okay, and I'm going to explain that. Okay, physiology equals psychology, or a strong body equals strong thoughts. Okay, strong body equals strong thoughts, and the third one is motion equals emotion. Okay, and it works both ways. Your psychology impacts your physiology, and your emotion also impacts your motion, right? So here's what is when I learn what I'm going to teach you right now. If you learn this, it will revolutionize how you behave. Okay? And thank you, Brooke, for the demo. Okay? I'm going to. No, stay there. So when one of the things you see, Brooke's ears are actually in front of her shoulders, okay? So one of the things I do with people to show them their alignment. So people say, what is my primal alignment? How should I be aligned properly, okay? And to align properly, okay, Brooke, I want you to push your chin back, okay, great. And gently, okay. When she pushes her chin back, you see how her ear aligns with her shoulder, okay? That is our first alignment. And when you see that, as Heather was guiding you through the neck postures, you could see your neck extensors being worked. Once you loosen that up, naturally your ears will align with your shoulders. That's a restful position for your whole musculature in your neck, okay? But naturally, the way we check our phone, you could see the way she was checking her phone, we want to move forward, right? We want to move forward. In fact, when you move back, it feels awkward, okay? Which is a problem because your body should be here, not here. But when you're here, when you're aligned properly, you conserve energy. And here's the thing. Here's the big thing. You can have a seat, okay? Here's the thing. When I learned this, it was incredible. When you go to sleep, okay, the first part of our sleep is devoted to detoxing your system, okay? It's about rejuvenating your skin, rejuvenating everything. The second part of your sleep, okay, and there's a whole talk we can do on that, but I'm giving you the Cliff Notes version here. The second part of your sleep is about consolidating memory. Everything that happened during the day, your brain goes, okay, there was a traffic jam, okay, put it in this file, put it in that file, it consolidates all this memory, okay? But here's the thing. Let's say you were in a traffic jam that day, and your brain at night is filing everything, right? Once your brain starts filing that traffic jam, it says, oh, traffic jam, this is a anxiety moment. I'm going to put it in my anxiety file, okay? Once your brain starts filing that away, it also opens up other times when you were anxious in your, things that happen. It's filing, but it's also reviewing that thing. So what happens is that subconsciously as you're sleeping, you actually experience anxiety at night. Now that traffic jam is filed away and everything like that, now you forget about the fact that you had a traffic jam. But as you were anxious at night, your body has that stress build up from that filing system at night, okay? So here's the thing, this is the aha moment for me. How many of you woken up sometimes and you feel anxiety, but there's nothing wrong in your life? How many of you experienced that? Where you wake up and you're anxious and you're like, why the heck am I anxious? There is like nothing wrong in my life. That is why I'm anxious. And when I learned this, it was just wow, and here's the thing. As your brain is filing those things, it's going through these memories, and it goes through memories that you have subconsciously collected. It stores that anxiety, that stress in your muscle system, stores it. When you get anxious, where do you feel it? Anybody? Where do you feel it? Your hair and chest. Okay, anybody? Where do you feel your anxiety if you get anxiety? Upper trap. Okay, right here. Yes, anybody else? Where else do you feel the anxiety if you feel it?
Lower back.
Lower back.
Stomach.
Okay. Yes. Okay. So if you do statistics and you ask people this question and you ask thousands and thousands of people, there are 3 spots where anxiety lives. Okay, one is what she said, upper traps, that's your number one area. That's your lower back, that's, okay, or upper back, okay. The other, so you have your neck area. The other area is like your mid back, okay, that's just kind of like mid trapezius right here. How many of you ever had a massage and they press on this spot here and you go, that's the point, right? Because that's the point, right? Yeah, because you have built up that anxiety in that spot, and as soon as somebody massages it, you go, wow, that felt good, right? So you don't realize, but you carried stress buildup in those areas, okay? And then the last point that Vince mentioned is lower back, okay? So one of the things that Heather did was, if you probably didn't realize, is that she ran through a sequence which was actually loosening all those areas, okay? And that's why you feel better. So one of the things is that you wake up with these muscles stressed, and remember, physiology equals psychology. When your body has a stress physiology, which means your muscles are stressed, automatically it has stress thoughts. You guys with me? It has anxious thoughts. So overnight, you build up the tension and you wake up and you're anxious even though there's nothing to be anxious about. Okay? So you're starting your day with residual stress physiology. Am I making sense? So the only way to really begin the day is to reset your day in a way that you relieve that stress and have actually a fresh day. Otherwise, you're reliving your past anxieties with that stress. Am I making sense? Because your physiology, if it's a stressed out physiology, you will have a stressed out psychology, and the day you'll walk and you'll be like, oh, I'm in traffic and everything is okay, but I'm anxious. Well, guess what? You never reset, okay? And that's what. So what Heather did. So one thing is that we align our neck. The other thing to align your back is if you move your shoulders back and down, what it will do is automatically it brings your sternum up and aligns your mid-back, okay? So pushing your neck back, shoulders back and down, that aligns your mid-back. And the last thing you can do is, everybody stand up, I'm gonna do it with you right now. And then we'll end here and I'll open it up for a few questions. So I want you to do this. You should do this when you wake up. You should do this when you're walking into a room and meeting people. If you're doing a presentation, okay, you should do this. What we found is that when you're in this expansive mode, people see you differently because we are primal beings. When I see you in this posture, you appear more powerful to me, okay? Otherwise, technology, engagement, and everything is going to pull you in, as you saw Brooke do it, okay? So you want to snap out of that, relieve that technology. So first thing you're going to do is push your neck back, okay? Just comfortably. At first, it feels a little uncomfortable, but what you'll see is it's relaxing your neck, okay? It's relaxing your neck, okay? You can let go and just let it be. The second thing you're going to do is pull your shoulders back and down. Okay, shoulders back and down. Keep your neck relatively aligned. And the last thing I want you to do is I want you to point your feet inwards first. Point your shoulder width first and point them inward. Okay, now I want you to squeeze your glutes so your feet come out. Okay, squeeze your glutes so your feet come out. Okay, what that does automatically as you do this, okay, is that your pelvic angle adjusts itself and it relieves the tension on your lower back, okay? So these three things right now, what I did, move your neck back, shoulders back down, and push your legs out, feet out, will angle your pelvis and relieve that lumbar tension, okay? Right away, that makes you more powerful. And your body, you're signaling your body is snap out of the anxiety, let's start the day, okay? What Heather did is phenomenal because if you can have the time to do what she did, that will totally relieve the stress. But if you can't and you have to go to a meeting and you're stressed out, you just reset and you walk in like this, okay? People will view you differently, people will interact with you differently, and you're in a much more power posture, okay? And so this is how to walk into a room and begin your day. If you want to incorporate what Heather did, that is wonderful. The other thing you can do, okay, I'll give you 3 tips. You guys can sit down now. And 3 tips beyond that is that one is I tell people is you can do some brief neck exercises, okay? And I basically have people push their neck in 4 directions. So you're pushing against your palms in the back. And then I usually lengthen my arms like this and try to push my arm with my ear. Can you guys do that? Like push your arm with your ear and push it the other way. You can feel that stretch. You feel that stretch in your neck? You see that? You feel that stretch? And sometimes it's hard because your neck has been stiff for so long, you may not be able to even get but you want to try to push this arm with your ear. And that moves your neck in a sideways, which you don't normally do. It's so stressed out. As soon as you do that, you start breaking up that tension, okay? So that's one thing. And the other thing, if you have a bar in your house, you can hang for 30 seconds. If you hang for 30 seconds, it automatically stretches that area, and you don't have to force yourself to do this. It will naturally over time start opening that area up, okay? And the last thing I do, if you have a minute or two in the morning, is to drop into a full squat and sit there for like a minute or two. And you will see that right away, if you drop into a squat, okay, you will see that if you drop into a full squat, right away, you see that the lower back is straight, that elbow angle hinges, that tension in that lower back is released, okay? So you start your day with an optimized physiology, which leads to an optimized psychology, okay? And so these are two connections, okay? There are 5 more, but it's beyond the scope of this talk, okay? But I urge you, if this kind of content resonates with you, I have the book that you can dive into further. And one of the things also for people attending today and the events we're doing in these recent weeks is that we just launched a 21 session Primal Reset program, where we do 21 sessions. It's 10 minutes of your time, where every day I give you one thing to implement, couple of items to implement to connect with these 7 primal things. So connecting with the earth and everything that I talked about, I will guide you through those 7 master switches, which I found that really reverses people's biological age. Okay, so you can engage with that, engage with the book, however you want to do it, and we have some information outside, and hope you have a great journey. I hope some of this you're able to implement in your life. Start your day properly, start your day with power, start your day with a optimized physiology, so then you have an optimized psychology, okay? And I'll open it up for any questions. Yes?
2 things. One, is the child's pose just as good as the squat for opening your back?
So Heather can maybe answer that.
That depends. So it could be, depending on the but it definitely the same physiological circulation and elongation resistance of gravity. And we're upright position, squat position. A lot of circulation, movement is pelvical, a lot of circulation uses wheel back. Plus you have the action of gravity from the belly and sound really your heart out. So when we are in child's pose, you still get an elongation of gravity is lying down in the body and break down around it. Okay, it's activation of your set. So I say it can be this architecture, sometimes people sink back and down enough to get that sense of elongation. The higher that defeats, depending on your body, you might pop your heart up, you pop your hips up, but it's still not going to be as deep, like if you're just like laying there, right? If you were doing some of the activation that we were doing, for 10 fingers and for your wrist going to that movement of your rib cage, based from the pelvic, if you need a stack and barrel, you can still get a good level of that.
Okay. Yeah. And can I just, when we're done, just mention that the function of the beverage and what it's about, it aligns in my training, you said.
Sure. She has a great organic beverage that you guys can try. We have some information out there. We're doing a whole session at around 11-ish on connecting with food. which is another part of our connections. But it's a very important topic of how to connect with food properly. And I'll give you a bit of the science behind it. Heather is going to give her experience from the Ayurvedic side, is what is the proper food choices and everything. It's a great collaboration. We'll get the information on both sides, the science and the nuance of eating right. So if you guys want to stay for that, you're welcome to. You can try out some of the foods. We also have a company that my wife works with. We source a lot of organic supplements that are out there. I urge you to try it. We'll go over the importance of what your body needs on a daily basis. We'll talk about that in the second session. Okay? Question.
Question. First of all, Chitta-Vritta Nirodha, which is quieting the chattering mind. Do you feel most anxiety is really created? And my other question is, you're saying to walk in the grass. Is there a difference for people who walk on the beach barefoot in the sand? Does that do the same thing as versus every day walking and being in the grass? So those questions.
Sure. Let me answer the second question first. So in terms of the grounding aspect of lowering inflammation, sleeping better, the grass versus the beach is the same, okay? Because from an electrochemical point of view, both of them will kind of remove that static in a sense, right? From a microbiome point of view, and what I mean by that is the soil has many beneficial bugs that interact with the bugs in your skin. Okay, the sand will not have what the soil has. So walking on grass where there's soil has that second layer of invigorating your microbiome. Okay, and we're going to get into that in that second session of why that's important. But so for that second aspect, the beach is not as good as the soil. Okay, and the first question was
with anxiety, like
is it self-created or right?
There's the phrase Chitta-Vritta Nirodha.
Yes.
Quieting the chattering mind.
Yes.
Most people don't even understand how important that is. So, do you believe that anxiety is created, fear is created within the self? It's not by
that is.
But what's your feeling on it?
That's a wonderful question. The phrase she used is called Chit Vrid Nirodhana. It means, how many have heard of Patanjali? Right, Patanjali? So Patanjali has the Yoga Sutras, right? They asked Patanjali if you could sum up all your work into 3 words, what would it be? And it's what she said is Chit Vrid Nirodhana. It's actually my 4th chapter in the book begins with that phrase, okay? And it says that if I could boil down everything that I know into 3 words, it would be Chit Vrid Nirodhana, which is that if you could quiet the fluctuations of the mind, everything in your life will improve, okay? And the best way I can answer that is that the way the mind works, okay, and I'm a neuroradiologist, so I look at brains all day, okay, but is that if you think about a thought that you have right now, it's going to sit in one or two places. One, it's going to be either some anxiety of the past, some regret of the past, or some anxiety of the future, or some kind of something you're looking forward to, something you're planning, some sort of like a mild, anxiety can be a good thing too, where you have that anxiousness about something that's going to happen in the future, or something that happened in the past that you regret about, right? Am I making sense? Very rarely do we sit in the middle of what is happening here right now. We're always in the past or in the future, okay? And I'll end with this, because this could be a whole talk. Right now, in this room, we rarely experience the space and the moment that's right now. Like you have this beautiful fountain noise in the back, the air in here, the sun filtering through. But at this moment, if you're thinking about the laundry, right? Or what am I going to cook tonight? Or like, well, he said this, I got to do this. I can't believe he didn't call me. You see what I'm saying? You're all over the place, but you're not here. And that's what he means, that when your mind wants to be here and here, but when you can bring it to the now, all these anxieties go away, and you can really experience that stillness. Okay?
You are great at this in case like that.
Yeah, and absolutely. And then that's thank you. That's a great icing on the cake over there. Okay, so with that. Okay, I wish you all the best and hope that some of this you carry with you, and tomorrow begin your day with a powerful physiology. All right? All right, be well.